What's up, everybody? Welcome to the After Church Show with Greg and friends. You are tuned in live to WXSL Street Legal Radio, www.streetlegalradio.com. And we are coming to you live as we do every Sunday. Fresh topics, real talk, real Christians. As always, I've got my crew with me. On my right, the lady of the hour, Kai Nicole. What's up to the people?
Hey y'all.
Hey y'all. That's her tagline.
Hey y'all.
Hey y'all.
And on my left, got my dude, got my brother, Massey. What's up, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah. Ain't nothing but love.
Hey.
Nothing but love in the building today. Nothing but love in the building. And I just want to let everybody know, to all our fans out there, we actually got our dude got our dude in the studio today, Mr. Lewis Wright, aka Mr. Always.
Mr. Always, I'm here.
Yeah. So he's in the building with us today.
Yes.
We certainly welcome you, man. We appreciate you stopping by.
I'm glad y'all, had me, man. It's an honor.
Hanging out with us. That's what it's all about.
Y'all the truth.
Hey, amen.
right. Exactly. See, I like
Amen.
I love that.
Yeah,
y'all
that's
the
it.
truth.
That's
I love
it.
y'all.
Yeah, there we go. So again, if you're just tuning in, you're tuned into the After Church Show with Greg and friends, and we got a lot to talk about today, people. It's a lot going on, and I'm not going to sit here and front and act like it's not a lot going on in this world. There's a lot going on in this world, and we want to talk about it, and we want to chat about it from a Christian perspective, because that's what we do. So let's get it popping, everybody. No punches. We're not gonna hold no punches. We're gonna talk about this thing like it is. Alton Sterling, Philandro Castile, Officer Brent Thomas, Officer Patrick Zamarripa, Officer Michael Kroll, Sergeant Michael Smith, Senior Corporal Lorne Aarons, all dead. Unnecessary violence. So what's up? Tell me what the problem is.
There's actually two more.
Two more?
It was two more guys that were shot by police. Delron Small
Mm-hmm.
and Anthony Nunez were also killed within the same span that Alton Sterling and
Philando.
Costello.
Senseless violence. Somebody explain this to me. I mean, I've got my opinion, but come on. What's going on, man? What's going on? What's happening to this country?
I'm still kind of numb over it, still trying to piece it together, because, I mean, if you think about it, it's no different from what they did in the 1800s lynching us,
Sure.
But to retaliate by killing officers, I
Yeah.
don't think that's the answer. That's just creating more hostility between the two parties.
Sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a way for everybody to come together.
Yeah.
Do I agree with other DJ hosts that the police department should come together and with us and protest and march? I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because right now we need that unity between everybody.
Yeah.
Not just one over here and one over there. But it hurts to know that I have a brother, I have nephews, I have godsons.
Mhm.
I don't even have kids yet. But I'm scared sometimes when stuff like this comes up. It's like, how do you handle that?
Yeah, that's real.
Because it's like, I don't think people really understand, as a 26-year-old in America,
Mm-hmm.
we get real scared. Like, sometimes it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
We are black and young in America, and we get pulled over for anything. I got pulled over one time going down the street. They said, this is a one-way, no signs.
Mm.
Why you pulling me over? Then it became about my tents. Legal. Why you pulling me over?
Right.
They couldn't do nothing.
Had to let you know.
It's kind of ridiculous that because of our, I mean, at the end of the day, I believe it is because of our skin color.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
So we've got a
definitely
problem.
It definitely needs to be some changes. And I want to know, where's our leadership?
Yeah.
Leadership came out when the situation in Dallas, but before then, where was our leadership?
Right. Yeah.
That really makes us feel bad.
Important.
So,
Important. Massey, what you got, man? You're a black man.
Yeah.
And again, before we go too far into our conversation, I don't want anybody to mistake what we're doing. We're just talking about the facts. There are facts that exist that warrant this conversation. There are facts that exist that have put us in a position where this is what we need to talk about. So we're not going to be afraid just because we're Christians and just because we are to love each other. Anyone that is in Christ is a new creature. We get all that. We understand all of that. We're not saying that that's not true. But if you live in this world and you think that we're in a post-racial society, you are misled because it's not there. It's not yet. Now, it's something that we pray for. It's something that we want. It's something that we're striving for. But if you're foolish enough to act like racism doesn't exist, I question you. I truly question you. What you got, man?
This week, I just looking over everything. I think it's two parts. Part of it is racial profiling and fear. The other part is just police brutality. Being around, my brother is an officer, my father was an officer for many years. I've seen a lot of things just driving down the street. It's not just white officers bullying young black men. There's black officers out there that just will approach you and disrespect you just like a white officer will. Like Kai Nicole said, like we've all said, retaliating and just out there killing police officers, that's just not the answer. So we got to figure out what, all come to the table with a solution. Like, what can we do to fix this problem? I said this morning, the body cameras, they sound good, but it doesn't matter because the main issue that a lot of people are missing, besides retraining some of these officers, is the judicial system. It's the judges that's allowing these officers to get off. It's the court system that's allowing these officers. How can you have all these videos and all these tapes and all this stuff and they get acquitted of charges? The Freddie Gray case. Now, I look at this case and say, okay, these officers didn't intentionally try to kill Freddie Gray, but at the end of the day, they're getting off. Why? Somebody got to be responsible for it.
Sure. If human life is lost, somebody's responsible.
Because if we all in a van and somebody die, they're going to be questioning us. Sure. You think all of us going to get acquitted? No, not at all. So part of it again, this morning I was watching YouTube and I put in police brutality videos. And it just wasn't white officers on black people. It was white officers on white people. It was black officers on black people. It's a police brutality thing. The guy that shot Philando was an Asian guy. So we just really got to, come together. And also, I like that there's a video out there with these African-American New York police officers, and they all kind of standing against it. You had the young lady.
I saw that video. Yeah. I think that I fear for them, and I fear for anybody. And we're going to talk about that other officer a little bit later on, but I fear for anybody that actually makes a stand against the culture that exists. So there's a big message in there if you really listen to what I'm saying, because they're counterculture. The problem, in my opinion, is the culture that has been established by law enforcement. So it doesn't matter if you're a black cop, if you're a white cop, if you're an Asian cop. They have been taught to look at certain demographics, certain groups as worse than others. So if I go into a room thinking in my mind that because of the race of this person and because of their the state that they live in, meaning whether it's impoverished, low income, etc. If I go into a situation automatically thinking that person has a propensity to crime higher than somebody who lives in another area, then I'm gonna mistreat that person. And that's what it is. It's a culture that they exist in, that they continue to push, and they continue to brutalize people. It's almost like it's not like even policemen anymore. I mean, when I was small, we had beat cops. We had guys walking around the neighborhood, the police flipping a little stick, and you knew their name, you knew who they were. They knew who you were. There was relationship there. It's been so militarized now that it almost seems like we've got small militias policing groups of people. That's the way I look at it. And if you have that mentality coming into a neighborhood, it's no wonder that these people get mistreated and done wrong. I mean, Mr. Always, you our guest today, man. I mean, and if you want to tell everybody, what's going on, you tell them your perspective, but give us your perspective on this, man.
Well, I mean, honestly, the devil is busy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, overall, you look at, you know, just take our city, last 30 days, what, 26 homicides? That's, you know, and that's
It's 26
has
too
nothing
many.
to do with anything going on in Dallas or
Right.
whatever the case may be. But where we live at is it's a war zone.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And fear is high with everybody. You know, I wouldn't put it on the police. I wouldn't just put it on, you know, the citizens or whoever. But fear is high because you don't know if you're going to get killed by just the next man.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
It
so
can,
I
it
mean,
can literally be anybody.
yeah, I mean, and we see that with the numbers. So it's real out here, man. And
Yeah.
people need to heighten their awareness and honestly clean up their small circles. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Meaning their blocks. You know what I'm saying? Because honestly, if you don't want the police there, don't give them a reason to be there.
I agree with that.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you got bodies dropping on your block,
Mhm.
police will be there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's their job to be there. Now, a lot of people don't want police around.
I mean,
Cool.
no,
I'm
I
just saying,
want
no,
them
this is-
there
this is
as
what I'm
long
saying.
as they're
Hey,
doing something
right
that
but,
they're supposed to
but
be
this
doing.
is the thing. In every
not beyond
place,
that.
every job, everything,
Yeah.
you have bad preachers, you have bad
Amen.
lawyers, bad doctors,
Yeah.
bad McDonald's workers.
True.
So,
True.
you know, you're going to find these people with their individual
Yeah.
situations or issues. I just don't feel, you know, the whole generalizing the whole group of people
Good.
for
That's the
somebody's
point that we need to
some
get to.
individual's
Indeed.
actions.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? A dude could be standing on a corner, got, you know, look however. You don't want to say, well, he's selling drugs. You
But
know,
that's
because
done
he's a
though.
black. But this is what I'm saying. We don't like it.
Yeah.
We don't like it. You know, as black people, we don't want people to generalize us with other black people if we're not doing what they're saying or thinking we're doing.
Yeah.
So it's not fair to other people either. So I'm just keeping it a real across the board. It's like,
Sure.
you know, we really gotta figure out what's going on with self.
Indeed.
You know what
Indeed.
I mean?
So I mean, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
And I think to bring this into perspective, and if you're just joining us, you're tuned into the After Church Radio Show with Greg and friends, and we're just discussing just recent issues that are going on. You know, there were bodies that fell that everybody saw on a national scale. It was two black men, 5 white officers. All of it, in my opinion, was unnecessary and ridiculous. I do not appreciate and do not agree with anybody that, as you were saying, Luke, tries to generalize and say that this is, you know, us versus them versus us. The problem is that there's a loss of life. The problem is that people keep getting killed unnecessarily. Now, it was very graphic. You know, we saw the videos. Anybody that didn't see the videos, you know, if you want to see something gross, then you go log in and see it yourself. But we saw the videos, and these images would continue to be pressed into our face and pressed into our minds, and we were shown these images over and over and over again of what appeared to be 2 murders. Okay, just to be flat, it appeared to be. I can't say I'm not a legal person, but I can just look at something and say I've watched enough CSI and Law and Order, and you know I've watched enough Boys in the Hood type movies to know what a murder looks like, and it appears to be one. We'll let that wash out in court. And it appears that there were police officers that were just gunned down. There was a man in a higher point with a vantage point or whatever the case may be, just mowing down police officers. In every instance, all these lives that were taken, including the 2 that Kai talked about, unnecessary. Unnecessary. So as Christians, obviously you can tell that we're pretty passionate about this topic because, you know, we're watching people die for no reason. And that's so ungodly. It's so unlike what Christ would have us to do that it saddens me and it breaks my heart that we still have to be subjected to this type of violence all the time. You know, and now it's to the point where the citizens are fighting back, it appears. I can't say. But it appears that there's retaliation is coming. And to the fools out there that said those police deserves it, and I did say fools, nobody deserves to die. What needs to happen, go ahead, what needs to happen in this conversation?
Right, especially when they had absolutely nothing to do with it.
Right.
There are wonderful officers out there. I actually follow an officer.
I know quite a few, Kyle.
I have him in my family, but it's one guy in
Me too.
particular that is on social media. His name is Officer Tommy Norton.
Mm-hmm.
And he is like probably one of the best that I've ever seen.
Really?
He gets involved in the community with the kids. He's buying these kids, you know, toys and stuff, you know, just to keep them active and out of trouble.
Right.
And he's just a really good guy. We need to see, you know, more like that. But just to kill innocent cops that had nothing to do with that.
It's bad apples in every bunch.
It is.
Just to be honest.
Like how we don't want to be, you know, profiled and
Sure.
put in a category. They don't want to either.
Yeah.
Because it really is some good cops out there.
I agree with it. I appreciate y'all dialogue. We're going to continue after the break. We're coming up on our first break. So stay tuned to the After Church Show with Greg and friends. Remember, we're on Street Legal Radio, WXSL Street Legal Radio, www.streetlegalradio.com. You can also hit us on our webpage, www.theafterchurchshow.com. And I also want to let all of our fans out there know that we've got a fan page. So
Yes.
if you log into Facebook, the After Church Radio Show fan page, you can interact with us live now. We're checking for comments. We'll be responding on the air. But let us know what you feel. We've even got a question out there for you, and it's do you think that the church has done enough to support or engage the community at large in light of the shootings that took place last week? We've got some feedback right now. Looks like most people are saying no, followed closely by somewhat, and there are a couple people that says yes. But we'd like to know what your opinion is. So get onto our fan page and let us know what you think. Give us your responses, and we'll be responding on air. Sit tight. We'll be back in just a few minutes. You listen to the After Church Show with Greg and friends. To the After Church Show with Greg and friends. We're talking about what's going on in the news right now. We're going to be wrapping up in just a second, but there was an officer. Her name was Nakia Jones, and I don't know if you guys caught her videos. She put a couple posts out there actually, and there was one in particular post that she put out there where she spoke about what was going on in the country at the time. Now this was prior to the deaths of the Dallas police officers and just after the shootings of the two men that were in police custody. So I found it to be very interesting, and I also thought I applaud her actually, because I think that took courage to speak her mind. Now I don't know anything specific about her outside of the fact that, you know, what she said on her video, which was she worked in a couple of different agencies, and her main point was basically, and this is the part that I actually fully agree with. Her main point was that if you are a person who is fearful of a race, or fearful of a race, and or prejudice against a specific race, and you're working in an area where that race is predominant, then you should take the uniform off. In other words, she's saying that you shouldn't police that group of people. I actually agree with that. I actually think that if you go into a situation with prejudices, and if you go into a situation with a pre-existing or preconceived notion about the way you think things, the way you think these people are, I don't think that should be the job for you. Maybe you should pick a different type of job, but I don't think that would be the job for you. So, question on the floor as far as that goes is: do you agree with Nakia Jones, or do you disagree with Nakia Jones?
I agree 100%. I think that's part of the problem too. I mean, like I said, my family is police, so I understand the importance of having your back for the boys in blue. But wrong is wrong. Wrong is wrong. In any profession. If it's pastors out there that's doing wrong, there should be other pastors that speak up and say, no, this is wrong, you're wrong. Just like with these officers. I mean, this thing, this police brutality, pretty much is really more so about police being allowed to use more force than they need to. And I'm just talking about, like, this phrase resisting arrest really bothers me. I hate that phrase. I hate it's like the police have almost the authority to do whatever they want. So if I'm standing on a corner and you come up to me and say, I need to see your ID, well, why do you?
Well, here's what I would put on that, and I'm being very honest about this. Now, there are instances where I agree with her as it relates to being racist or prejudiced, or if you got something that you have against a group of people, you shouldn't police them. But I also completely understand the position of a police officer. And some of these videos that people post, they're posting the second half of what happened.
Right.
They're posting what happened after the policeman or policewoman engaged the person in a way where force was being used. I like the videos, and they're out there too, where you see the whole thing.
Right.
Because it presents a different picture. Because I do not, and I don't care if you black, white, brown, whatever the case may be, if you're resisting and if you're not complying, then you deserve to be addressed in a more forceful manner. I won't say deserve, but you must be addressed in a more forceful manner.
Right.
And you can't put Black Lives Matter onto situations like that where Pookie or Man or somebody was resisting arrest and then they wound up, having to be thrown down or having to be tackled. These guys are taught, meaning the cops are taught to arrest and detain people who present problems. So I just want to put that out there too. Before we put this blanket, I'm against the cops and all this other stuff. Don't forget that there are a lot of people that actually resist arrest. They give them a hard time, and they don't do what they're supposed to do when they're asked.
Right, and I agree with that. But my thing is, in some of these instances, what is the cause of you coming up to some? Because resisting arrest is, I've given you a reason to arrest me.
Right.
I watched a video this morning. Like I said, I went on YouTube and watched police brutality videos. The officer had a camera, went up to her for a traffic, he said a traffic something. He pulled over for something. So she rolled the window down halfway. He said, can you roll your window down? She said, no, I don't need to roll my window down all the way. She said, you can see my hands. She moved her hands close where he can see it. So then he said, well, I'm putting you under arrest. She said, for what? If you're writing me a traffic ticket, why are you putting me under arrest? You didn't say, and she never answered the question. You never said my license was suspended. You never said my registration was suspended. That's what I'm talking about. Whereas now, like you said, there are situations where they will fight when they're about to get under arrest. That's just anybody.
And you shouldn't.
Right, and you shouldn't. You should comply at that point. But at the times when you have no reason to tell me, like he had no reason to tell that young lady, I'm pulling you over for traffic, and now I'm going to pull you out the car, because... But at the same time, I agree with you when we don't get the whole story, because
I can make you believe what I want you to believe if I put some clips together, only show you half the story.
Right. But the
I only show you video of me getting slapped, and I ain't show the video of me slapping the crap out of you.
The
Then you don't look like an abuser.
The Philandro case, to me, we see the aftermath of what happened. We hear her version of the story.
Sure.
We don't know all the details. My issue with this is the man is shot, he's down. But the officer, and I don't know what their training is, you can see he can't do much. At that point, even if there was one officer that still had a gun on him, all the other officers that were there were just standing around. At that point, it comes to protect and serve. Help that man out the car. Put him on the ground until the ambulance get there. I know y'all have some type of training for that. It was
child out the car.
Right, get his child. It's like they shot him. Okay,
She was in the back seat.
yeah.
She was.
It's like
She
they
did
shot
witness the
him.
whole thing.
They shot him. Okay, he's down. We get that. Okay, now help the man. Don't just leave him there.
Sure.
In his blood. Like come on.
So the question then, I mean, we can go through the details of every issue, but the question is going to be whether or not what motivated that should cause for a cop to disqualify him or herself, because that's what Nakia was talking about.
Right.
She was talking about whether or not, like, if you're good at your job, right? If you're not good at your job, if it's not a job for you, you know that that's the case, and you know that if your reviews are bad and if you have all these biases, and like Mr. always said, people at McDonald's mess up too. If you know you back there spitting in sandwiches, and you know that you don't like people, and you dragging fries across the ground and all this other stuff, this is not the job for you.
Not at all.
Or the
You know?
NBA folk that's always mad.
Or
That's not a job.
people, my favorite people in the world are customer service people that catch an attitude when you calling the company to resolve your problem, and they got the nerve to catch an attitude with you.
That's right.
It's like, hey, you're the company. I'm calling because I got a problem with the company. Now, my thing is this: if you don't like taking calls, if you don't like dealing
in
with
the
your
wrong
problems,
field.
Right,
it's
right.
not taking calls.
You're in the wrong field.
So it's the
Right.
same thing.
Right, right.
Officer Jones was saying that what she was saying was, if this is not what you like doing, and if you have all these biases that are hardwired into you, then why do it? And I agree with her.
Yeah.
What you feel, man? I feel that way.
I mean, some people, even the McDonald's workers,
Yeah.
they feel as though they do their job well.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not
I
a
mean,
job.
so
Like
it's
that.
the thing of, you know, it takes a higher power to tell them that they're not. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And to address it. And hopefully that's what we'll see.
Yeah.
You know, with a lot of these situations, man. You know, like I said earlier, you know, it's just a greater awareness now.
Yeah.
You know, like we're aware. Like I'm gonna tell people, you know, you need to know your rights.
You
know,
do.
that like one thing is easy to have your rights
Ignorance is
violated
not bliss.
if you don't know your rights. Like
Right.
knowledge is still power.
All day, every
You know what I'm
day.
saying? I don't
Yeah.
know if
I'ma
that,
get that
like
tattooed
went somewhere.
on
Yeah,
my back.
I should get it too. But
Knowledge
yeah,
is
you know,
power.
knowledge is power, man. Know your rights. You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to worry about, you know, so much of, you know, the fear factor of, you
Yeah.
know, should I do this or shouldn't I? Or
Right.
what's the
Well,
best way to deal with the
Fear breeds,
situation?
well, ignorance breeds fear.
Right, exactly. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, man. You know, that's stuff that'll help these situations out a
Yeah.
lot.
Right.
You know, so.
Well, I think I appreciate y'all, man, and I mean we're not going to stay on this forever, but I think that one of the things that as a church that we should be doing as a body of Christ is we need to be engaged.
Right.
I think that we definitely need to be. And the point of talking about this today and opening up with such a sharp topic was
Very
to
sharp
was
topic.
to was to very yeah, was to just basically put it out there that as Christians we need to have this conversation. I need to have this conversation with my fellow believers, my fellow white believers, my fellow Asian believers, you know, my fellow Hispanic believers. I need to have this conversation because if we can't talk about what's really going on, then we are in essence ineffective, even with our beliefs. So I'm not gonna allow for anybody to put a muzzle on me and say, you know, because we're a Christian, we can't talk about racial profiling. We can't talk about improprieties in the justice system. We can't talk about injustices that go on in this country. Yes, I can. In all actuality, what it should do, it should put us at a place as believers where we can have the conversation. Because we can have this conversation because at the end of the day, we believe in the same God. We believe that God can deliver us from any situation. And if we believe in the same word, the same Bible, then there's no reason that we can't sit down and talk about a problem and put it on the table. You know? And I think that people should remember that. And as Christians, we should remember that. Don't be so spiritual that you ignore the reality of the damage that racism has done in the past and that racism is currently doing. Be bold enough to talk about it. Be brave enough to talk about it. Because if you sit back in fear, the problem gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. What's the old saying about sweeping stuff under the rug? Eventually, if you sweep enough stuff under the rug, you're going to trip over the stuff that you put under the rug.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Jewel.
You know what I'm saying? So, hey, you know, hashtag that, player.
Jewel.
Yeah. One thing we can do though, as a church, as it relates to our purpose on the show.
Yeah. Well, this is the poll question.
Yeah.
What do you think we should do?
Yeah, churches. This is an opportunity for churches to open their doors, to say, let's open our doors, let's get the police in here, let's get the people in here, and we're gonna pray, because we keep talking. I've been to enough community events with my wife, and we've been to police events and all that. But as Christians, another part of that was what Lou said earlier, is there's a spiritual battle going on that we need to address, and we can't ignore it as Christians.
It's our responsibility.
The world can ignore it because they don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
But as our responsibility is, we need to start praying all together.
Mm-hmm.
Pastors, invite police officers, invite people in your church, and y'all just pray over that thing.
And it's
You
bigger
gotta
than just
pray for an
cops.
hour.
And it's really bigger than cops,
It
man. I
is.
gotta reiterate that. It is not I mean, the level
everybody.
of ignorance that I see is not just blacks versus cops. It is black genocide. I'm sick of that.
Yeah.
I'm sick of blacks killing each other. And people may say, well, every time somebody talk about police brutality, we talk about genocide. I don't think that the two are the same.
Life.
I don't think that the two are the same, and I want to make that very clear. Police brutality is one problem. Genocide within the black community is another problem. And all of it needs to be addressed. So in the midst of us bringing these people in to talk about these issues, we need to bring all these different types of groups in, because I still believe that if we love each other enough, that it will impact the way that other people treat us. I mean, do you not feel that way?
And also, we need to have more respect for ourselves.
Indeed.
Because I see in my neighborhood and other neighborhoods where they're saying, you know, words against the police, but I'm like, look at how you look. Look at how you dress. Look at how you walk. Look at how you talk. Have a little bit of respect for yourself.
For your elders.
Yeah.
You know, it's so much for
Yeah.
women. Thank you. It's so many things that contribute to the plights that we have in front of us. But just to close this topic out, honestly, I think that the church, we need to serve our community better. I think that we need to serve the community better. Even looking at the poll, you know, it's not favorable as far as, do we think that the church has done enough? Most people are saying no.
Right.
The church has not done enough. And I agree with that. There was a time, and I'm not even going back to the 60s. I'm going back to like the 70s and the 80s and stuff like that, where the church was central to the community. The church actually meant something. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean anything no more. People do not care about the church anymore. The only people that seem to care about church are people that go to church.
Yeah.
And it's not the people that people don't have that high regard for church anymore like they used to from a larger perspective. And I think we need to get back to that. And if we open the doors of the church up and we started to treat the churches like what they are, we are based in communities to build, to help communities, and to allow for communities to thrive and to improve because of our existence. That's what the church is there for. But so many pastors are stuck on how big is my church is, how much I can build, you know, how much money I can make, that's become the focus. It's all about mega churches. It's all about how many members can I have as opposed to how many lives I can impact. I could talk about this all day. Those cats behind closed doors, and I know some and I've seen some, all they talk about is how many members they have, how many members they can get. They want to know what the tithes are. They want to know how much money came in this week. These are not people that should be shepherding churches. You can't shut me up because I got a platform. You don't like me, turn me off. But there are people that should not be shepherding churches because there are problems like the ones that we see that continue to thrive. When I was small, you went to church because there was love there. There was a pastor there. There was a deacon. There was somebody that you could talk to that would get you off the street, that would sit you down. My father was one of them that would do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just through. I'm through. It's so much work that needs to be done, and everybody points the finger at the other person. When in fact we supposed to be doing the work as Christians. We got work to do, people. And I'm gonna put it that way. I'm gonna put it that way. But stay locked. We've got a lot more to come. You're tuned into WXSL Street Legal Radio, www.streetlegalradio.com. Make sure you check out our website, theafterchurchshow.com, and log into our fan page on Facebook, the After Church Radio Show fan page. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you feel. Let us know what you're thinking. We'd love to engage with you today. Enjoy the break. We'll be right back.